Okay, so sustainability, I'm presuming, is still pretty much front and center for the data center industry. It'd be good to understand perhaps how you would characterize the progress made to date and what more might be on the horizon, at least in the short to medium term.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, sustainability, key topic for all data center operators. I think we're doing almost, I'd say, as much as we can. You can always do more, but we're doing everything from sourcing renewable energy. We were the first at Vertus to source completely carbon zero energy from 2012 with wind, solar, and tidal. Others have followed suit now, and I think the whole industry is kind of going down that road, which is a massive step considering the energy we consume. And then the designs, of course, have changed over the years to be more efficient, which is really key as well. But of course, I think you can always do more. But I think we're at the point of sort of diminishing returns now from our own side of things. And what we need to do is work closer with the customer on the actual sort of combined design changes we can potentially make for the future. Things like operating the data centers at higher temperatures would allow us to get a better performance from a PUE perspective. But really, that needs us all to look at contracts and contract risk, etc. So there's a bigger conversation topic, but very much still front and center of the agenda for all of us. Certainly at Vertus, we're on track to reach our target of net zero by 2030, and everybody's aligned behind that.
Yeah, I was going to ask, I mean, obviously individual companies, some are moving at a slightly different pace than others, but do you think overall the industry is moving at the right sort of pace? I know a lot of the industry has put 2030 as a sort of line where they want to be net zero, but clearly 2050 is the longer term position. So just your thoughts as to if the industry is is in a healthy position, bearing in mind those two deadlines, I suppose.
I think we again, we can always do more. Everybody can do more. I think it really will need the industry and the customers to work together to get massive gains now going forward, because ultimately customers still want reliability, they want availability, and they want a good price. And some of the things that we're talking about from future innovation perspective cost money. And so that you can't put a price on the environment. You need to protect the planet. But at the same time, there is a commercial reality to some of this as well. So I think everyone is driven in the same direction. It's the hot topic for any conference you attend, obviously. But 2030, whilst it might have felt like a long time away when these targets were set, it's coming up pretty quickly. So we're all driven towards it. Things like we do zero waste to landfill, we do construction. We understand now the carbon footprint of our data centers, so we can offset it. So everyone is analysing the right data and the scope 3 data that feeds into our reports. And of course, our customers are also demanding it, but with one eye on the commercial sensitivity to it as well. So I think, again, like the answer to the last question, we can always do more. I think we should all come together as an industry and try and do more. But I see data centers as kind of like the Formula One of this industry, and that lots of innovation happen in our space because we're ahead of other industries in terms of the demand to achieve net zero. And hopefully from some of the learnings that we'll get, we can deliver to other industries as well. So I'm hoping that's going to be a benefit of the work we're doing.
And do you think, I mean, clearly the industry can't use it as an excuse not to do stuff, and there's plenty going on, as you say, but the fact that the digital world demands data centers that underpin virtually any activity you think of, there's some data involved, or some IT. So do you think it doesn't need to think it gets a free pass, but do you think it perhaps should be credited a bit more for the fact that you can't beat it at the same time as you're tweeting or on your laptop or whatever? Just thoughts to that sort of balance, how we strike that.
I think you're absolutely right. I mean, the digital economy underpins most economies these days. And if we took away our phones and our apps and all the things we enjoy, both for work and for our leisure life, all of that comes from data centers. And it's important to remember that data center operators like us, we don't generate any power. We don't generate any heat and need to, it's our customers' equipment and service that generate the heat. So it's important that we work with them as well. But I think we can do more as well in terms of educating governments to the benefits of data centers. If you were to think of the alternative, which was what we had before data centers, where computers would be distributed across everybody's office space, in IT rooms, the power usage efficiency there would be atrocious, and the impact on the planet would be way worse. So we've already made huge leaps and bounds to centralizing it, and therefore allowing better performance, better management of it, and being more efficient, and driven that PUE number down in my short career of 10 years from circa 2 to 2.5 down to the 1.25s now and the 1.2s. And if we go down immersion cooling, we can get down below the 1.1 magic number as well. So I think we're doing a huge amount. We probably don't, I'm not saying we want credit for it, but we've already moved the needle a long way, and I'm sure there's more we can do. But we just need to add some education in the world to make sure we don't get regulated out of the space. We're already providing a huge value to the planet in terms of centralizing the IT and compute loads and manage them better than previously.
And in terms of various other things that might be on the agenda for 2024, I know you've highlighted flexibility as one of the things that is a sort of going to come under the spotlight. So perhaps you can just expand on that, what it is you mean by that, and what are the issues you have to consider.
I mean, so Vertus has always led on flexibility. Our CEO is famous for saying you can have a rack for a day to a decade. Now, not many people want a rack for a day, but by offering that service, it allows you to be the most flexible in terms of contract terms. And we did that back in 2013, 2014. So we sell space, power, security, and basically what we do, and cooling obviously. What we suggest in flexibility is we can flex those up and down during a contract term. That was our historic sort of view of flexibility. We're flexible in the contract sense that you can commit to a space that you might grow into or you might shrink over time, and we were flexible to allow that to happen. The statement I was making about 2024 is completely different to that. It's more what we see from the sort of the changing demands in the space. Yeah, we service a lot of hyperscale growth requirements, and really the advent of AI and machine learning is changing that now. And just coming back from PTC and spending some time with our American sort of sister company and actually seeing firsthand the demand that they're already experiencing, knowing that's coming to us, we know we're on the right path with the flexibility solutions that we're offering. And flexibility to us is purely the customers themselves don't really know what's coming. In the past, they've had fixed rack sizes, fixed densities, and therefore we can build a fixed solution to go around it. Really, what they don't really know now with the advent of the newer GPUs and the increase in density, how that's going to change over the next 12 months, let alone the next 5 years. And so having a solution that really is land and power at huge scale allows a maximum flexibility really in terms of delivering a solution that will work for them both short term and as the future sort of technologies and chipsets get developed and delivered to the market.
Yeah, and I think I say probably related to flexibility, scalability again. I think you've highlighted. So is that purely again so that people can scale up as these at the moment unknown AI demands arrive and etc. Or is it just what are you thinking when it comes to scalability?
Yeah, I think scalability now to us is at a different scale. When we first started working with the hyperscale customers, they would buy a room of 1 megawatt or 2 megawatts, which back in 10 years ago was a significant amount of space. And then they would wait some time and grow into another room. But by that time, somebody else had taken the room between them. So they were suddenly distributed throughout a whole data center in multiple spaces, which at the time suited the business need and an unproven market and unproven technology as perhaps cloud was back then, that it was the most efficient thing for them to do. But that causes huge cost impact and then operational challenges as well. So we wanted to bring scale to the market that allowed them to have a runway of capacity. So when they put the cloud down in a location, it's very difficult to move that again, and they need growth around that. So rather than allowing other operators to come in and take that growth and build data centers alongside ours, we want to offer a significant footprint. And with the investors we've got the capital to go and do that. And that's what we've done in Germany with a 300 megawatt campus day one, which gives people the runway of capacity they need to grow. So the scale has moved to a different sort of scale, as it were, rather than just offering a customer a room by room or a building by building. They can take a campus and grow into it over time, which is what we understand that they're looking for.
Yeah, so I mean it's interesting because you've got these mega scale campuses that are being developed at one end, and then you've got the edge data center sort of environment, if that's right, coming alongside. So perhaps if you're able to compare and contrast those two developments.
Yeah, megascale is a phrase that we're seeing and coining a little bit ourselves because we're going after these huge campuses. You have to have the investment community that we have to allow us to go and do it. But it does give what the customers are looking for. It does give that ability to have the runway for the demand that we're seeing. The thing about AI and ML demand, it comes in a number of flavors. There's the sort of large language model, which is kind of, it can be offshore, it can be in areas of cheaper power, for example, in the Nordics, it can be in any kind of location, because it's very non-latency sensitive. And then you have the inference, which is more the business that we're looking at, which is mega scale data centers in countries for a sovereignty play that deliver the AI solutions to the enterprise. But it does work very well with edge. And I know that, we've talked a lot about edge in the past. It's not a world that we play in, but I think there's a symbiotic relationship now that's being developed through AI, because ultimately, if you want to go to the full end scale of AI solutions, you need deployments within the city that your business is operating. If you've got systems that are, for example, the car manufacturing industry, you'll need connections and edge solutions in Stuttgart, in Germany, if you're a German car manufacturer, as well as an inference model perhaps in Berlin and a large language model somewhere else, to give you that full end-to-end solution for AI. And so I think really we're starting to see now, beyond the normal edge solutions of low latency, content delivery, video playback local to the community and eyeballs, we're starting to see another use case for edge as well, which is the integration to AI to give the maximum performance of an AI platform.
And you say that yourselves, you don't play in that space. I mean, could you foresee a time, just because customers might say, well, you're looking after us here and we'd love to work with you here, or would you just think, no, we'll at best partner with someone and hand them on to that? Or, as I say, do you think at some stage edge might become significantly important or attractive to yourselves to make a play in that space?
Yeah, it's interesting. Just coming back from PTC and meeting with our investor and STT, they now have 1.2 gigawatts globally. It's still very much the whole portfolio. The platform is across Southeast Asia and with us in Europe is all still mega scale data centers. It's large scale. So there is no strategy there yet to go after the edge, but we're watching it very closely. I think there's plenty of really good operators in that space. But at the moment, we're very focused on our core business, which is deliver mega scale data centers.
And in terms of the sort of build out of data centers at the moment, I think it's quite a active market, shall we say? And you mentioned about the Nordics, that's a sort of mini boom, but connectivity and latency sensitivity, I presume, are still important to quite a lot. For many organizations, maybe the odd millisecond doesn't make a lot of difference, but in many cases, good, reliable connectivity and latency sensitivity is still an issue. Just your thoughts as to how that sort of landscape's developing.
Yeah, that's my old world connectivity. So yeah, you're right. The ultra low latency world is a very unique use case, mainly down to the high frequency and prop trading world. We're not talking about that latency, but there is still the need for in-country delivery, not just from a sovereignty point of view, but is from a latency perspective. And then there is the ability to go offshore and put things further afield where perhaps you don't need permanent reliable connectivity. You just send information, allow it to process and get the answers back. And that's a different style and requirement from a connectivity point of view. But connectivity is always necessary. Data centers won't work without it. We're always keen to have a depth of fiber operators in our data centers to ensure we can offer all services to our customers. But most of our customers tend to take dark fiber or wavelength services, so we don't have a huge range of services available from the carriers because it's just not required. That's more of the edge type solution where they need the range of products, the IP transits and the other telco related products. But data centers don't exist without connectivity. What we're seeing now is, with the sort of shortage of power that exists in the main markets, the flat markets, people are looking at different locations like we have in Worcestermark. Because if you can move the data center to the location of the power, then generally the dig of the fiber is cheaper than the dig of the power. So it's much more advantageous for us to be near the source of power, where we can then do some very clever things. Using the power locally is interesting to the local government because the power is available. They want it to be used. You could use it to generate hydrogen and use hydrogen to power the data center instead of diesel generators as one alternative that we're working with our customers on as well. But therefore, the cost of fiber is relatively cheaper, and you can have that dug in over a greater distance. And then you've got the advent of things like hollow core fiber that we're trialing between two data centers currently. And with that, that'll increase the distance. It reduces the latency by a third, or you can increase the distance by a third to get the same latency. So that improves network reach as well. And that's an interesting trial that's ongoing.
In terms of anything else, I mean, you've referenced AI a couple of times, I think, but do you think the industry knows what's going to hit it? I mean, I guess nobody can say for sure, but if, shall we say, even 50% of the predictions come true, I won't say the data center industry will be overwhelmed, but there's going to be an awful lot of, whether it's to your point, mega scale or whatever, there's going to be a lot of building required, because as I understand it, legacy data centers for a lot of this are just not really fit for purpose. You'll end up with a huge, great building and a tiny little bit of compute in the middle,
Yeah.
because that, that's all the power and the cooling, which clearly isn't practical. So just your thoughts as to what impact AI may or may not have on the industry over the next few years as it becomes a big thing.
There's no doubt in my mind that it's going to be a huge impact. As for what that impact will look like, will play out over time. We're doing a tremendous amount of work with our customers on future designs. The racks are getting a lot heavier, and as you said, a lot denser. But still, there are limitations. There is the law of thermodynamics. You still need to get rid of the heat, no matter how you collect it from the chip, whether that's direct-to-chip cooling or liquid cooled or immersion cooling. There's still heat to be removed, and that tends to be external chillers. So there's a limitation on the physical size of the chillers. And then within the cloud itself, the way the AI clouds talk to themselves there's a fiber limitation within the data center itself as well. So there are limitations around the designs that we're working through with our customers to build it. We already host a tremendous amount of AI. We have a lot of the major public platforms with us already. So we've done a lot of learning. We have direct-to-chip solutions, and we have liquid cool solutions in play today. One is running at 240 kilowatts a cab. So there's a lot of learning in the business to understand what this looks like, and it's allowing us to design the future data centers to be able to cater for that load and that demand. And then through our investor, we've got an interest in a company called Firmus that are doing immersion cooling, and they're rolling that out. We're going to potentially put that into Berlin as a trial, and they've signed the first GPU as a service customer in Singapore on it as well. So that's really interesting, because the PUEs on that get down to sort of 1.08, 1.09. Which is fantastic from a sustainability point of view, back to your first question, but it isn't yet adoptable at scale, so it's got time to develop. So it's been another step change in the industry. I think we've got to the end of the road in terms of the previous cloud iterations and performance, and I think now having AI and ML workloads able to be distributed slightly different in different locations to where the existing compute workloads have gone, have given us the ability to think slightly differently about location selection and access to renewable energy and that kind of thing. So it's helping us shape our locations, but also shape the design as well. We're coming up with a number of AI-ready designs, as we're calling them, for our new campuses.
Yeah, and just finally, perhaps on the locations again, you've already explained a little bit about the strategy, but do you think in general there will be a move away from, as you say, whether it's the flat markets or the huge great metros, because they're fairly well catered for, and people will be a lot, shall we say, smarter as to where they build data centers, as you say, whether it's for power or sustainability reasons, and just that it'll be sort of more nuanced, shall we say, where you build data centers, as opposed to we'll build it in London, we'll build it in Paris, we'll build it in Frankfurt, whatever it happens to be.
Yeah, I think I wouldn't go as far as saying it's going to remove away from the flat markets, because there's still the existing cloud footprints that need to grow. And yes, it's constrained. All these markets are constrained, including London, with power. But if you can deliver power and space in that market, I think it would be a sellable product to the cloud as it continues to grow. For its standard cloud type solutions, I think what we're getting with AI and ML is an overlaid demand that's dramatic increase from what we see to date. Again, we haven't fully seen it in the UK yet. We've had our first discussion and inquiries about a 100 megawatt opportunity, which has been talked about in the past, but it's currently turned to reality. And as I said, working with the US business that we're kind of sistered to, is quite helpful to see that demand play out to real delivery as well. So we do have the confidence that's coming, and it does allow us to look at other geographies. So we do have another opportunity in another country that's 400 megawatts that we're exclusive on. We're just waiting for the first decent sized deals to land, and then we can start talking to the market about these other spaces as well. So I think we will see new pockets spring up, hence Fustermark, hence other operators looking at other markets as well. Milan is huge. Madrid has got a huge amount of supply in it currently, probably more than the underlying demand if you were to analyze it properly. But really the demand isn't yet fully understood, because people don't know how big AI and ML is going to be, and that's what we're waiting to see.
Okay, as ever, covered some good ground and some great information from yourself, Darren. So really enjoy the conversation. Thank you very much.
Brilliant. Thanks for your time. Speak to you soon.
Thank you.